Hi, so me and my group did the Buggie Lab, and I wanted to walk you through kind of a demo of what you're supposed to do with your data and information. So my group gathered the following data. Our buggy car went from 0, which is where our first piece of tape was, to 10 seconds later, it was 251 centimeters away. So the first thing we want to do, right, is gather our data, which we did, type it in here. Step 2, we want to make an XT graph. Remember, to make an XT graph, you highlight the entire set of data, you go to Insert, a Chart, and it gave me a line chart, and I don't want a line chart, but notice it already has the axis labels. If it doesn't, I'll show you how to add those. It also has the title done correctly because it should be XT versus, or X versus T, right? But I want a scatter chart. So that one, the dots, is a scatter chart. And then remember, we go over to Customize, Series, and this, we want to add that trend line. And I'm going to color it red, and I'm actually going to make it 100% capacity so that you can really see it. And notice that my data doesn't perfectly line up on my graph, and that's okay because the real world doesn't have perfect, cute little data. So be aware that it's okay that your trend line doesn't actually fit every single dot. That's okay. But we don't want a line graph because the line graph just plays connect the dots, and we're not doing that either. So step 2 is the XT graph. Again, be sure it has all 4 of your components that you need. Then you need to calculate the velocity. Velocity is distance divided by time. This is your total distance, 251 divided by 10, which should be 25.1 centimeters per second. Notice I just typed it in here as if I was typing on a Google Doc, right? Then I need to make my VT graph. And on my VT graph, I need the data. So at a time of 0, I was going 25.1. And at time of 10, I was going 25.1 because the buggy car went at a constant speed. And then we need to make that VT graph. So you highlight that data again, and you insert a chart again. And notice this time it gave me really weird stuff. So look over here on the chart editor. 1, I need to change the chart type to a scatter. You got to just scroll down. 2, notice that down here it says not everything is checked, and you've got to be sure it says use column A as labels because that's where column A is. Those are your labels. But notice it doesn't give you all of the same things that we've had in the past. So we need to customize it. Chart and axis titles, because we've got to change the title. The title should be V in centimeters versus T in seconds, right? And then the axis labels, the horizontal axis should be time in seconds because you have to add those. And notice as I add them, it does update the chart. And the vertical should be velocity in centimeters per second. Okay. So velocity in centimeters per second versus time in seconds. And I do want to go down to series, and I want to turn on that trend line. And again, I'm going to make it 100% capacity, and I'm going to turn it red so that you can actually see that trend line, that horizontal line that we are used to graphing. So I'm going to shrink it just a tad and scoot it down so that it fits where it's supposed to go. And then I need to do 2 more things. I need to write a problem. So I made a big text box here, and your problem needs to have 3 things. It needs to have character. Joe was escaping in his buggy car. It's got to have character. Then it's got to have data. He made it 251 centimeters in 10 seconds. And then it's got to have a question. How fast was Joe going? Now, notice it doesn't wrap it, so you need to be sure that it wraps, and I'll actually fix yours. And then that's your question, and then your conclusion, same kind of thing, character. Joe was going 25.1 centimeters per second during his escape. That's it. That's the Buggie Lab. Thanks.